It all began on a particular night when a certain woman, accompanied by a certain child, came to the Dunton shelter seeking refuge. However, the owner refuses to take them in, making excuses that they already have more than enough lives to care for. That's when the woman bribes the bastard with a silver coin, which is more than enough for this greedy scumbag to make an exception. Once they're inside, he shows them the room they're supposed to stay in. Since it's already the dead of night, he decides to go over the shelter rules and responsibility fees tomorrow. After saying that much, the man leaves. The woman, her name is Helen, helps the kids sit on the bed, and for some reason, she feels sorrowful for this poor soul who has to go through so much at such a tender age. The meat kid wants to know where his mom and dad are, but it looks like something tragic has happened to both of them, and Helen is too horrified to spill the truth. So she feeds him baseless optimism, claiming that he'll be able to meet his parents soon enough. But before that, he better catch some Z's and wait for the next day to arrive. The innocent kid acknowledges her words, and a while later he's fast asleep. Meanwhile, the woman starts coughing violently and soon realizes she's about to die with blood coming out with each cough. With a final farewell to the little boy, she dies right there on the spot. The kid wakes up a while later only to see the sheets covered in blood with her already pushing up daisies. Later, the shelter's manager arrives with his mistress. Both of these scumbags are annoyed to see the old hag dying on them in their shelter. The mistress notices that the kid has the same bleach-colored hair as Pauline, a woman who's been living in the shelter for a while now. Speaking of the devil, Pauline shows up too. And yeah, she really does look a lot like the kid. The mistress immediately orders that the kid will be under Pauline's wing from now on. Since this ain't a charity show, Pauline and the kid have to beg for money together on the streets and bring it in. Now, about this Dunham shelter, it's technically operated with charity money and government subsidies, a supposed sanctuary for people with nowhere to go. But in reality, it's a wicked place that exploits children under the pretense of responsibility fees just to rake in profits. Pauline introduces herself and asks the boy's name. The kid doesn't respond. He's still stuck in his thoughts about the woman who just died. Pauline can read the worry plastered all over his face, so she sits beside him and gives him a little wake-up call. She doesn't know exactly what he's been through, but whatever it is, it's in the past, and he's got to keep his chin up if he wants to survive. If he stays upbeat and keeps his spirits high, happiness will find its way eventually. She extends her hand and tells him to put in the effort to make his life better. The kid grabs her hand right away. And just like that, a new chapter of his life begins. From that day onward, he pretends to be Pauline's son, and they beg together in the streets. While their mother-son relationship starts as purely professional, Pauline always takes care of him like he's her own child. She protects him from bullies and other vagrants. With all the care she gives him, the kid never feels lonely, not even once. And just like that, 5 years pass by like a gentle breeze. Now, the boy is 8 years old. His name, by the way, is Rowan. As they sit together one evening, they appreciate each other for all the hard work they've put in over the years. That morning, Rowan ended up catching a rumor that she will be leaving soon, and he wanted to discuss it. Pauline doesn't look too thrilled while confirming it's true. Apparently, she's been offered a job as a maid at some noble's house. Rowan is genuinely happy for her. He believes she'll crush it as a maid. Pauline teases him for worrying too much, especially when he's got enough on his plate already. The kid, meanwhile, is truly grateful for everything she's done for him over the last 5 years. When Helen left him alone in this world, or when the shelter kids bullied him, or when vagrants picked fights, it was Pauline who was always there, always had his back. Tears start to fall before he even realizes it. Even though he should be happy for her, the thought of her leaving is tearing him apart inside. First, it was his parents and then Helen, and now it's Pauline who is about to leave him alone. Everyone leaves eventually, and the idea of being left behind again just eats at him. Pauline quickly snaps him out of his grief. She reminds him that just because someone isn't physically next to him doesn't mean he is all alone. He's only truly alone when his heart is empty. If he holds on to those who've left and takes a good look inside, he'll see just how much they loved and cared for him. So whenever loneliness creeps in, She says he just needs to close his eyes and feel his heart because she'll always be right there by his side. Days fade, the sun goes away, and another night arrives. While standing in the thick of the woods, Rowan recalls Pauline's parting words. Feeling alone, he closes his eyes, puts his hand over his chest, and tries to open the eyes of his heart just so he can feel those who matter to him. As soon as he does, mana begins to swirl around him. Even with his eyes closed, he can see through everything, as if the entire world is visible to him. Not only the world, but he can also feel his parents, Helen and Pauline. Every person he cherishes feels closer to his heart. Years fly by since Pauline left the shelter. She hasn't contacted Rowan once all this time, which leads him to believe that she's still busy adjusting to her new life. All he can do right now is pray for her well-being. Meanwhile, he has been begging alone, just like the other kids. The director assigns him to Zone 1, the most profitable area. Though he makes high earnings, he is always treated nicely relative to the other kids. Then there's this guy who is just too friendly to Rowan. His name is Blake, and he is the supervisor of Zone 1. He has been acting all buddy-buddy and nice to Rowan ever since he heard the kid's tragic past story. He is also the one who helped the kid realize that the light cluster he sees after closing his eyes is mana. Since this guy is so helpful and accommodating, Rowan has no reason to hate this guy either. This man has condensed light clusters inside his body, and he turned out to be a well-versed swordsman who uses mana. Since Rowan can see mana, he notices that Blake's mana has an oddly murky glow to it. Let's have a little context about how mana works in this world. Mana is the main ingredient that helped form this world. People consume mana through breathing, unconsciously influencing the world's flow. Among all the people, a few like Blake can harness the power of mana through various training methods called mana cultivation. Blake has explicitly instructed Rowan not to try mana cultivation without proper knowledge, as it could be deadly if handled poorly. As some passers-by toss coins into his bucket, Rowan sincerely expresses his gratitude like any beggar should. Some passing ladies find Rowan rather cute and adorable, unable to resist his charm. Meanwhile, Rowan is lost in his own thoughts, trying to level up this mana game. First of all, he's trying to get used to seeing real objects and mana at the same time, and he successfully nails the task. This little achievement puts a faint victorious smile on his face. Not long ago, it was hard to see both at once. But now he has gotten the hang of it. Though this victory isn't without its hardships, seeing both physical objects and mana overlapping still makes him dizzy and dull. Blake arrives out of the blue, fascinated by how much money Rowan has collected already. Rowan simply downplays his charm, expressing that it's all thanks to so many people with beautiful hearts. Blake advises him to stay vigilant of any danger around him. After all, his success might develop jealousy in some people. So, if Rowan notices anything out of the ordinary, Blake wants him to report it right away. With that piece of advice, Blake begins to walk away, not before waving goodbye one last time. It looks like Rowan has already seen something strange, though he doesn't really want to tell a senior. Apparently, strangers among the crowd, especially those with strong and bright mana, look like they've condensed mana in their abdomen, just like Blake. But the thing that differentiates them from normal mana users is that the mana of the two strangers he spotted yesterday had an exceptionally bright glow. What makes Rowan even more concerned is the fact that those guys were keeping an eye on him. But then they disappeared instantly, jumping over buildings. Besides, those guys didn't look very threatening, and Rowan really doesn't want anyone to know that he can see mana, as he wants this secret to remain his own. As a guy drops another penny into his scrap bin, Rowan notices that his bin is full already. So he proceeds to walk to the base camp to have it replaced with a new one. But as he walks, he notices some guys lurking in the shadows, and they have that same strong colored mana within them, something he's seen before. So he's pretty sure it's the same people from yesterday. Not just one, but multiple guys are continuously following him closely behind. Rowan has no clue what these shady guys are up to. He is particularly feeling scared this time, as it's the first time they are following him this closely. There's one guy behind him and one to the side. All he needs to do is make it to the base camp somehow. His anxiety starts to take over his impulses as those shady guys continue to diminish the distance between him and them. At one point, he thinks that he's screwed, but thankfully, at the last moment, Rowan hears the voice of a familiar figure. And that familiar figure is, of course, Blake, who is sprinting down with godly speed. Once he finally catches up to Rowan, Blake cradles him in his arms and jumps so high that he lands on the rooftop of a building. Those shady figures have also caught up to him. So Blake increases his speed while cautioning Rowan to hang on tight and not let a single penny slip from the box, or they might end up sleeping with empty bellies. Meanwhile, Rowan's mind is already lost in his own world, much to Blake's confusion. Once they finally reach the shelter, the senior puts the kid back on the ground, who is still completely absent-minded. Blake thinks that the kid was perhaps so scared that he acted like a stiff dummy all that time. So now that they're here, he assures Rowan that they are out of danger and suggests he go inside. Once Bro gets inside, we find out he wasn't unresponsive all this time because his mind went blank from fear. It was because he was stunned by a breakthrough he just had. Back when they were escaping, he managed to see how mana flows through the body during movement. He even noticed how condensed mana ripples when strength is focused in the limbs. Hell, he was able to pinpoint exactly how many bursts and fades it takes to leap off a roof. So now he decides to give it another shot to confirm the full extent of what he just unlocked. He draws in mana through his breathing, circulates it through his body, and starts condensing it, preparing to release it when needed. Looks like the little guy finally figured out how to use his mana properly. Next up, all that's left is to actually test it out. Meanwhile, the other kids who were stationed at their posts have started showing up, completely clueless about why everyone's suddenly being called back. That's when their senior shows up. He knows everyone's dying to know what's going on, but he tells them not to worry as it's nothing major, so they shouldn't stress about it. Once each zone leader finishes their inspection, everyone will go back to their assignments. He doesn't know how long the inspection will take. So, until then, they're told to stay quiet and remain in their rooms, except for one kid, of course, which is our boy. He's told to pack his things because he's being relocated. Later, the meek boy quietly follows his senior, walking just a few steps behind. At some point, Rowan is asked to stand aside while his senior chats with that big guy over there. Naturally, the kid is curious about what they're talking about, but it's too far for him to hear. So, he starts circulating his mana and focuses on his ears. And bam, he can hear them loud and clear, even from way back. Apparently, they're discussing Rowan, who's now being moved into the main building away from the dormitory wing. Even his senior doesn't know why. Since these are the director's orders, he assumes the director just has a soft spot for the kid. Well, can't blame the director. After all, the kid's pretty damn good looking. And considering what happened in Zone 1, prioritizing his safety makes sense. Those shady guys Rowan ran into earlier might be part of the Union. Though we don't know what this Union is, but let's hope to soon find out. The little one realizes they must be talking about the creeps who were tailing him today. That big guy then calls the kid over and gestures for him to follow. Eventually, they traverse the main building and eventually meet a lady named Amy